Hey, what's up guys? My name is Alexander Florzone. Welcome to the channel. Today I have the Kone XP. There we go, that's what it's called. I keep getting mixed up with the Kone Amo Remastered, which is a similar mouse which we will also talk about in this video as it relates to this new one. This is a super RGB, super full of buttons version of Roccat's new Kone Pro line of mice. That was a redesign of their original Kone mouse, which was, I believe, their first mouse ever and like their most popular one ever. And they basically put a lot in to make like the best possible mouse with this one. And they hit it home, let me tell you. You can check out my video on the regular Kone Pro up on in the tab up there. You can click on that. Well, the Kone Pro Air is the wireless version that I did a in-depth review on. And today I have the regular wired Kone Pro, then the Kone Pro Air, which is the wireless version I did the video on, and the Kone XP, as well as a extra little guest here, the Burst Pro, which is a somewhat competing mouse since it's also corded and it's in a similar sort of price range. So I thought I would bring in these three other mice to stack up against the Kone XP to see, you know, if it's really worth it and how its features stack up against other mice in its class. So here I have a little unboxing clip. Love a good unboxing clip at the beginning of every review. Pretty nice packaging, I guess. Pretty standard. We got our manual and then some replacement mouse feet. 4 on this mouse, pretty intense. And then our beautiful, beautiful mouse. Wonderful Phantom Flex cable. Got a little cap on our USB there, and the little the little mouse symbol on our USB. And a nice little reusable rubber wrap thing for the cable. The cable is about 5 feet long, I want to say, and it's super nice. And then I gave it a little plug-in test just right away, because I just couldn't help myself. And man, did it look good. I'm sorry it looks horrible in this clip, but I promise it looked really good. And then we have our little feet covers. Super satisfying to peel those off. Oh yeah, gets me every time. And that's the Kone XP. So let's start out with the cheapest mouse on this table right here. The cheapest one is the Burst Pro. It's not part of the Kone lineup, it's not their latest mouse, so it's a little cheaper, as well as just being a not quite meant to be a total 100% flagship like enthusiast grade mouse. It's made a little bit more for the average gamer. We got optical sensors on there, so you got some of the, you know, the enthusiast type features, but it's not, you know, quite the latest. So it's got a 16K DPI, whereas the Kone series all has 19K. So that's a significant increase, but for the average gamer, nothing that you really need. The Burst Pro also has a couple of buttons on the side, as well as a middle button up here behind the scroll wheel, and it has 2 programmable LED zones. So there's the scroll wheel, which has got a couple of little lights on the side, and then the palm of the mouse. This is sort of honeycomb pattern RGB coming through there, which is pretty cool. I really like that, but nothing compared to the Kone XP here. The Kone XP here is very cyberpunk. I don't know how else to describe it. It's really cool, just in general. Not to mention all of the buttons. The Kone XP is really coming through with it says 15 buttons. I don't know where the heck 15 buttons even are. I count 13, and that's including each direction on the scroll wheel being a button, but I don't know. They're all reprogrammable though, so it's pretty cool if you're the type to use a lot of different buttons in a lot of games. It's definitely not lacking, to say the least. Now, I did think at first that this Kone XP would be lacking some of the pro features of the Kone Pro, hence the name, Kone Pro. It's not the Kone Pro XP, it's the Kone XP. So I thought we would be missing out on those optical switches, but no, optical switches are still there, and it seems to essentially be the same mouse, just with more RGB and more buttons for $10 more. We have $79.99 USD for the regular Kone Pro and $89.99 USD for the Kone Pro XP. It does jump up when you go to the wireless Kone Pro Air, which is $129.99 USD. Huge jump, really, for, wireless, but it's really an incredible mouse, that one. You'll have to check out my video on that, link down in the description. So we're really better off just comparing it with the mice that are more in its class. The Burst Pro, I think I said before, only $59.99 USD. So it's a full $20 cheaper than the Kone Pro here, and $30 cheaper than the Kone XP. So you're really paying for that latest mouse with the extra buttons and all that. That's for sure. It costs a lot more. The what was it called? the Kone AMO Remastered, which is part of the old Kone lineup from Roccat. So it's a little outdated in some ways, but it's sort of, I would call the Kone XP the spiritual successor to that mouse. But that mouse is just $10 cheaper. But it is a different look. It's a lot more dark, less pass-through and less light for sure. It definitely goes in hard on the RGB though, and it's a little more edgy. It is also missing those Titan switches, the optical switches, and all of that, all of those latest Pro features. So I really wouldn't recommend going back for kind of the old version to save a few bucks. I don't really think it's worth it. As for how this mouse stacks up against others in its lineup, it lands in a pretty good spot if you're a lot more into features and lights and awesomeness instead of just getting a wireless mouse and paying another, whatever, $30 or $40 for that. It's a pretty good value. If you want to get a new mouse that's kind of in the enthusiast range almost, but you don't want to go all the way to the end, and you want something a little bit more than just your standard Kone Pro, then this is definitely the one for you, especially with that RGB. I thought it was maybe kind of dumb. It's like, oh, 3D RGB lighting, right? And I'm like, okay, whatever that means. And then I opened it up and I was like, oh, it looks kind of weird. And I plugged in and I was like, oh, that is pretty cool. It's not something I've really seen before on another mouse. Okay. Now the negatives of this mouse. There are a couple things that I noticed while just testing it out for a few hours of play. First of all, if you're not used to a mouse with a lot of buttons, I prefer a more simple mouse, and so I run into the problem of accidentally hitting buttons all the time, and who knows what they're programmed to do. One of the issues that I had with this one is that it was programmed for out of the box. I think when I pressed the one button, it would like disengage completely, like the control of the mouse except for the buttons. So if I like clicked, I could like click on something, but I couldn't actually move the cursor. And that was the button right here. There's a button right on the thumb rest essentially. And so instead of having a standard thumb rest, sure, you still have about as much of just normal rest there as you would, but just off to the side of it is this button. And it's really easy to accidentally click it just with resting your thumb there. And so that's a weird thing that I found. That's kind of a blessing and a curse though. If you're looking for a button that you can push literally just as easily as either of these, your pointer and index, that's the button for you. It's in a way too easy to click for most people, I think, but otherwise it could be used as a very potentially useful button right there, just because it's so easy to click. Now the RGB customization is where it starts to get real spicy. In general, I would say this mouse is the best in Roccat's lineup, and probably one of the best, if not the best on the market for general customizability. With all of those buttons and with all of the RGB that combined, it's a big pile of fun. multiple different types of configurations you can do with the RGB, since there's, I think, 19 different LEDs in there. Fun fact, I didn't actually realize really how good it was until I started filming this video and I was playing around with it just a little bit just now. So it's pretty impressive. A lot of hidden features on this thing. It is deep, a lot deeper than the simple Kone Pro. So if you're looking for a, you know, the best of the best, just simple wired mouse, Kone Pro is probably the way to go. Or if you're looking wireless, Kone Pro Air, if you're willing to spend the extra money. When it comes to features and just going all out, I would say that extra $10 for the Kone XP, totally worth it. Amazing mouse. It's been a pleasure to play around with it. Very, very fun to play with the RGB settings, and I highly recommend it to anybody who's looking for a new mouse in that price range. So I guess that's all for today, guys. Thank you for checking out the video. I look forward to hearing from you in the comments what you think about the mouse. I know I get a lot of comments sometimes on these videos that, you know, I rate something really well. I'm like, oh yeah, it's 4 out of 5 or 8 out of 10, and somebody's like, wow, I bought this mouse and it like exploded and killed my hamster 2 hours after I used it. And I don't know what people do with their equipment sometimes, but it's crazy. Anyways, thank you guys for watching the video. Please leave a comment, leave a like if you enjoyed the video, dislike it if you didn't. Please, please, please subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers right now. That's my milestone. Shooting for it. I would really appreciate it if you subscribed to see the rest of my videos as well. Honestly, I work hard on my content and I try my best to make it valuable and useful and very honest. So thank you guys for watching, subscribe, like, comment, whatever. I already said all that, but I'll see you guys in the next video, I hope. Alright, see ya.